You saw him first on the evening news in the summer of 1994, during one of those 5-minute local interest segments that ran between the weather and a sports update. The anchor smiled warmly into the camera while the footage rolled. Detective Marco Reyes, sleeves rolled, leaning casually against the roof of a seized Cadillac with smoked-out windows. Behind him, yellow tape snapping in the humid air, officers in short sleeves hauling bulging evidence bags into unmarked vans. The camera caught him clean, black hair slicked back but never greasy, jawline squared, a calm gaze that suggested nothing in the frame could surprise him. This was a team effort, he told a reporter. Our priority is community safety. Our children deserve to grow up without fear. Off camera, someone clapped. A few kids, faces barely visible, shouted his name. The segment ended with him shaking hands with a shop owner, smiling like a man who understood the value of being seen doing the right thing. That was the Marco the public loved. The detective who dropped by school assemblies to warn kids about the life, who bent down mid-game to tie a loose shoelace for a kid on the basketball court. But the other Marco lived in places where the bodega neon buzzed after midnight, where the smell of frying oil and exhaust clung to your jacket, and where street legends grew like weeds through cracked pavement. There, he wasn't a hero. There, he was the tide. And when the tide set in, things came in. When it set out, they vanished. It was the August heat that stuck to your skin like plastic wrap, the night Marco Reyes leaned against the graffiti-tagged brick wall outside Kingpin Lanes. The bowling alley's hand-painted sign sagged from its bolts, the painted pins curling at the edges from years of weather. A few busted fluorescent tubes, and the awning buzzed in fits. He wore jeans, a short-sleeved shirt, and a gold watch that winked under the street lamp. His Motorola Bravo Express pager, clipped to his belt, vibrated once, short and deliberate. He pulled it free, squinting at the green-lit digits. Hashtag 41-1. He pushed off the wall and walked with an easy stride across the lot. In the far corner, a dark green Chevy Caprice idled with its headlights off. The driver, a thick-shouldered man in a baseball cap, tapped the wheel to a bass line thudding from the radio. They spoke in low tones. The trunk popped open. The paper rustle was unmistakable. Thick stacks, bills with weight. The trunk closed. The Caprice rolled off without headlights, dissolving into the night. By day, Reyes was a narcotics hero. By night, he was the architect of a supply chain so invisible it felt like part of the weather. The chain began at the docks. Every Tuesday before dawn, a rust-pock freighter called the Esperanza del Sur slipped onto the East Bridge. The manifest listed vehicle parts, boxes of tools, sometimes sacks of coffee beans. Nothing to keep customs awake. But in one container, always one, there was a false floor. Beneath it, tightly wrapped bricks of powder, sealed in multiple layers of plastic. Each container bore a chalk mark, an arrow for north, a dot for local, a cross for hold. They weren't for the ship's crew. They were for Reyes. One payphone call from Pier 6, a ring, a hang-up, another ring, was enough. The container would be shifted before inspectors could reach it. Not a gram hit the evidence locker unless Reyes wanted it there. From the docks, the product flowed to 3 main hubs. The Delaney Street Laundromat, machines always in use, accounting books showing detergent sales that could have scrubbed every shirt in the city twice over. Pixel Palace Arcade, kids feeding quarters in a Street Fighter 2, a ceiling fan humming in the back room where packages moved hand to hand. Sunset Video, faded posters in the window, a bespectacled clerk up front, a stockroom stacked with boxes, cash in the middle, VHS on the outside. The genius was in the simplicity. No overcomplication, just clean, plausible fronts with traffic that kept the curious distracted. Detective Lena Marlowe had been in internal affairs for 3 years when Reyes' name first landed on her desk. His reports were immaculate. Arrest logs lined up like train schedules. Evidence transfers so precise they read like they'd been rehearsed. But the timing was too neat. Arrests clustered around certain dates. Raids canceled abruptly for intel conflicts. Every cancellation matched spikes in pager activity. Probably nothing, her supervisor told her, handing over the file. But keep an eye. By December 95, the DEA was in. Operation Brass Lantern ran from a windowless courthouse basement. Maps taped to the walls, red circles marking payphones. Reel-to-reel recorders clicking like patient clocks. Coffee that coated your tongue in bitterness. Surveillance on the arcade was tricky. Reyes knew everyone. Names, birthdays, or who had asthma. He'd stroll in, buy a soda, nod to the regulars, vanish into the back for 8 minutes, and leave. Always 8. The break came when Anthony Ruiz was pulled over for a busted taillight. The dog sat hard by the glove box. Inside, $60,000 in cash, a pager, a chrome-plated pistol. "You don't cross 41, Ruiz told the agents. He's not just a cop. He's the tide. He says in, it's in. He says out, it's gone." Lena wrote it down word for word. The hints piled up. An arrested dealer called him the boss's boy before shutting his mouth. A dock worker said Reyes once spoke fluent Spanish to a man from the Serrano Cartel, and the man had called him Mijo. Then came the photo. It was buried in a dusty box from a closed case in a neighboring county. A boy, maybe 12, standing beside a man outside a warehouse. Same sharp eyes, same jawline, but the back read, Mateo Ruiz, 1984. The sting was set for June 18, 1996. A fake heroin shipment was logged for seizure by Reyes Task Force, then quietly rerouted to a Mercer Street warehouse. There were cameras in the rafters, mics in the walls. From an unmarked van, Lena watched him arrive. No sirens, no backup. He moved like someone stepping into his own kitchen. Deliver the flyers. His voice crackled over the wire. Midnight, same lot. The takedown was quick. Reyes didn't run. Hands up, gold watch glinting in the half-light. Calm, almost relieved. The public trial was straightforward. Fallen hero, seduced by greed. Pager logs, payphone tapes, Polaroid from the arcade's back room. But Lena's file told the truth. Marco Reyes had never been theirs. Born Mateo Ruiz, son of a Serrano lieutenant. He'd vanished into witness protection after a warehouse fire killed his father in '84. Only it wasn't rescue. It was placement, groomed to infiltrate law enforcement. The badge wasn't a job. It was the final act of a plan drafted long before he took the oath. Reyes got 38 years in federal prison. Months after the trial, Lena found a letter on her desk. No return address. "I was born into a war. You fight the one you're given. They made me a tool before I could spell the word. You saw me. That's more than most. MR." She kept it folded in her desk. The city moved on. Pixel Palace became a payday loan store. Sunset Video turned into a taqueria. The laundromat kept spinning. But Lena knew another Marco was out there, learning the rules, waiting for the tide to turn.